Hello and welcome everybody, I'm Joshino and today I'm doing another Game Graded. It's a show where I take one of your full games from a video and try and over-analyze it, or even one of my own games, depending on what happened in it. I've actually got a Google form which is in the description below where you can submit your own games, and just my sort of advice is put it in the best quality you possibly can, because a lot of people have been struggling. I'm putting videos up there in high quality but are a bit laggy, so don't worry too much about the quality, but the better quality the better for me. But anyway, we'll be jumping into the game and just basically giving a blow-by-blow on all of the choices that Satan's Soul has made this game and try and go over where they might have gone right or where they've gone wrong, things that people can pick up and learn on as well, and anything maybe that I can learn from this game too. So we're in the match and we're just about to see their loadout. So they've taken the Dark Stalker legendary card. Personally my favourite this patch, but Godslayer is definitely usable, especially against the Drogos who's going to be putting out a lot of damage, and the Willow you can throw back quite a bit. And let's just pause here on their loadout. So they've got a few things there. So Abyssal Touch. Defiance reduces a cooldown of Nether Step by 0.5 seconds every time it hits a champion. Now they've already got Dark Stalker, so the Nether Step isn't necessarily on that long of a cooldown. And for me, Defiance is still a bit of a broken ability that isn't too useful in the game, and I'll talk about that more throughout this match because I've actually watched it once already, but he uses it quite a lot. And personally, not exactly my first pickup. Seething Hatred, on the other hand, reducing reversal by 1 second every time you hit an enemy can be useful if you do have good aim, and it's something that I often put into my builds. You can actually look through my builds if you search Joshino on PC. You can have a look at the ones at the bottom are my new main ones. The next one up is Through the Warp 2, increase the distance of each Nether Step but dash by 20%. Also, that's an okay one to pick up, and it's something that's found its way into my build at the moment, I think. Abyss Walker is the big pickup that a lot of people pick up, and especially with Dark Stalker, because you're doing it all the time, you can have a lot of healing. Now, he's only taken level 3 of this. Personally, I'd take level 4, just because it's that extra healing, and especially with Dark Stalker, the legendary card that allows you Nether Step and it's not linked, you'll be using Nether Step most of the time. Now, you don't probably want to be using it to heal all of the time, but it still gives you that little extra bit of sustain. But 3, I mean, it's in the right direction. Equivalent Exchange, 3. A lot of people have been using this in their loadouts, although personally, I don't know whether it's that useful. I mean, you heal for 30% damage absorbed by reversal. It makes more sense if you're using the Godslayer card, which gives you that extra 800 damage if you throw back the reversal. But the thing is, you have to be accurate with the reversal, you have to be definitely hitting. And, I mean, in this game, there are not so many people that can run away. Like, you could hit the Torvald and get the heal off. The Grover could jump away from it. The Victor would find it hard to run away from it. But, I mean, okay. I personally don't think it's the best loadout here. There's other things that you can pick up, especially the ones that reload during the Nether Step. I can't remember the card off the top of my head. But if you look at my loadouts, you'll be able to see where mine was going. There's not a right or wrong way with loadouts, and it's not terrible. But I just think that maybe some of the things in there don't really synergize with the card they picked up. And they've got some interesting comms coming from the Makoa, doing some, I don't know, devil Makoa voices. But there we go. That's the start of all team synergy. So he's taken his heal card first. Now, I pretty much never pick up a heal card straight away. Usually you want a heal card to keep your sustain up in a match, and usually that's because the other team have got their defense items already and things like that. But I mean, he hasn't really pressed tab to look what's going on with the enemy team as well to see what their items are. Okay, he has now, so they've picked up some Wrecker. They don't have Cauterize either, but I mean, he's an Androxus, he's going to be in the back line, he's going to be fighting people. He doesn't really want them to heal up, so Cauterize could have been the first pickup, and it's just going to be more useful. He's come into the back lines, which is fine. The only thing that he did there was walk straight up to a Torvald, which could have disabled him and would have been really upsetting. And I mean, luckily the Grover was picked off on their own and he was able to kill it. And again here, like, they're pretty oblivious, the enemy team are. I was able to come in the back. He uses Defiance. That's probably one of the only uses of Defiance that's okay, is when you're trying to finish off an enemy and you're close enough and you kill them. Again here, he got some decent shots off on Cordial DeVoe, the Willow. Here again, he was running straight towards the Torvald. If they got their horse, which they probably didn't want to do because of the countdown, but if they had and stopped him from running away, the Torvald and the Grover could have probably killed him. And here, he missed a few shots, but it's to be expected. And I think a lot of this game, this Androxus goes too close up to the enemies. And what I mean by this is that Androxus' minimum range is about maybe 3 Makoas lying down length. He doesn't need to be that close to an enemy, and I think the reason he gets close is because he wants to be using Defiance. But I think If you're too close to an enemy, you can also find yourself not being able to snap to the head or aim properly. And also, if you watch there, he didn't go up into the air with his nether step, which is one of the things that you can do as an Androxus. And even now, he's still just on the floor. He's not going up at all and getting an advantage on an enemy who might try and find it harder to hit him whilst he's nether stepping around. And in the air above them as well, taking them from surprise. Here he's boxing with a Drogos. It's actually, in my opinion, right to stay away. Okay, well, I was going to say it was right to stay away from a Drogos, because the closer you are to a Drogos with a projectile, the easier it is for them to hit you. So it's very hard. Okay, they picked up the Cauterize, which is good, but it's very hard as a Drogos to duel an Androxus who is nether stepping in the air and is all out sort of a range from you. What you want to be doing is getting as close as possible to the Androxus to hit the direct shots and try and burst the Androxus down before they can just kill you, because they can ping you in the air. And that Drogos was able to get close up, and also the Androxus went close as well. Here again, positioning wise, he's in the back lines, that's fine. And he's kept his nether steps at the moment. There again, he could have held onto spacebar and kept in the air. Now he actually is doing it right, but he only used it to use his ultimate. I mean, that ultimate was fine. He saw the Drogos he wanted to burst down. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't have to use your you don't have to use a cursed arm on all of the enemies grouped up. You can use it on one target that's specifically priority, like a damage dealer that you want to get down as quickly as possible, like focusing on the Drogos. That was a pretty nice reversal. He got away. He could have got away round the corner, round the back of that little mini square temple that he's looking at now. I don't know whether he had to go all the way back, because he could have still been a pain, but I mean, he survived that, so that was alright. Missing the Torvald on all shots. Again, he went too close to the Torvald. He could have just stayed back a bit. He still had them to get the maximum damage. You still have that sort of space. I don't know exactly how much distance it is, but it's about, say, 3 meters or so. 3 to 6 meters is the maximum damage, and even when you're out of the maximum damage, you might be able to get more shots off than you do when you're closer, like he missed at Torvald there. And okay, so again, interesting voice comes from the Makoa. And let's have a look what they will pick up. But so far, he's not playing too badly. His positioning's okay. He's getting in and out when he needs to. He's not using the height advantage, like I said, with the Darkstalker, especially getting into the air, darting around cover and things like that. And also, he's getting a bit too close to the enemies and getting a bit too close for comfort. And often, it just throws off his aim. And he's struggling, I think, in this match as well. Coming around here, it's often a flank route. He's come straight into the Grover. Now, the Grover's not a huge target for him, but if he can take it out on his own, then, I mean, chasing this Grover here, he's keeping the Grover out of the fight, but also, there's like not really much point in taking the Grover out as much. I think the Androxus is more useful in the fight than the Grover. But actually, I mean, this team take out the enemies on the point. So it did work out, but he died to the Grover. He could have backed off and just let the Grover try and come back in again whilst he helped his teammates out on the point. I don't know whether he needed to be there. Something else worth mentioning during this match, just I thought off the top of my head, is that he's not got the group UI. So he's only got the UI where you see the people that have died and that you can see the spawn timers in the very top. Now, he could have been seeing what was happening with his allies, because it's very hard to tell when your allies are low, when they're retreating. Like now, the Inara's not wanting to fight again, but he only knew when he looked around that the Inara was low. If you don't want to use the group UI, which is in the options, which gives all of the people's health on the top bar, which is normally in my videos, then you can always keep pressing tab and seeing how your allies are doing, but he's not doing that either here. Currently, he's just in a bit of a pickle because he's come onto the point, his team were down, which partly if he had the group UI, he might have been able to see who was up, who was down, who was low, and just generally not being aware of where everybody was on the map. He should have got out really then, and not stayed around or not been on the point. You don't need to necessarily be on the point all the time as a flank, and sometimes coming off of it and regrouping is more important, because the whole team here has actually been completely spawn. They've had their delays spawn, their spawns delayed even. Don't know what this guy was doing there. I don't know whether he was just like, am I going to type something or not? I'm not sure. Again, coming in the back lines, but I mean, one of the guys had gone down there. He literally just ran into them. Again, I think he's just getting too close up to the enemies, and also just going straight into two people. I mean, you can always feel like, I mean, maybe he's feeling too safe that he's got the reversal to throw it back, but in my opinion, there, it wasn't there to save him. Again, just the Makara is down, but the pip was very low. And the pip's also gone down now, which if you had the proper UI, you would have been able to see that. But aggressive again, he's gone straight in. My opinion, not going around there as a flank, going straight into the fight wasn't the right thing to do. His positioning there, actually we can go back and have a look at this actually. So he comes out of the spawn room door and goes, he should have probably gone right here and just come around this side and carried on going around. Because he can see that his ally is about to die, the pip, but the people are already focused there. And we'll see the Androxus coming, so he'll be engaged. And also, the Bomb King's already heading over there, and is going straight into there. Still knows for some reason, who knows why. Probably still deciding whether to go this side or not. Now, the Bomb King and the Androxus are clumped up. They're going to get hit by this grenade, and there's not really much that the Androxus can do. He's just going to get bursted down. Although, I mean, the Inara was there, but, I mean, they were just in a tight corner. The Drogos there got the big burst damage off with the AoE. And was pretty much able to just kill them. Again, not ideal positioning. You don't want to go where all your allies are. And as a flank, like you were doing earlier in the game, he was out in the back lines doing some damage and getting out again. Probably the most important thing. So he's going for his ult here. There were a lot of people grouped up there. And I think that probably not the best idea. I mean, the Drogos is a nice target to take out. But, I mean, just there, the aim was off. I think maybe he panicked. There's something else earlier when he used his ultimate. I think he went straight up. So he's gone straight up, so he's not even got really an angle on it, so he's only firing down, so it makes it quite awkward to fire. If he was a bit more of an angle rather than just completely overhead, he might have been able to hit better, but that's just a little nitpick there. But mainly just, I think maybe he panicked when he was aiming at that Drogos, but you can really be burst fiery with that Androxus cursed arm and just go and try and hit just straight where they are, but try and compensate for where they're moving to as well. But again, there was the group of enemies on the other side. Again, that Defiance there wasn't too bad, but he does use it a lot in the game when perhaps it wasn't necessary. Again here, he could have probably killed the victor there if he'd have noticed. Just stayed and watched where they were running and kept shooting at them. He didn't need to do that nether step. He sort of nether stepped into them and then also nether stepped to somewhere where it didn't really make sense. I don't really know why he did that then, but I suppose there's that. And now they're 2-2, unfortunately. I don't think it's necessarily completely his fault here. There's just probably happening a bit here as Pip heals not ideal because he needs to basically heal both of them, and they're not going to always be next to each other, the Makara and the Inara. If they had a Ceres, the Ceres could have alternated between them, or a Ying, or a Maldamba, and maybe a solo Pip and a solo Inara would have worked okay, but I'm not sure. Let's see. Item-wise, he's got morale boost. He's at 43% of his ultimate, that's fine. Kill to heal 2 rather than getting cauterized 2. I mean, the Grover isn't a big healing target. They can only heal people that are around them, and the Androxus is probably going to be in the back lines where the Grover isn't anyway, so necessarily the Cauterize isn't the biggest pickup this match. Kill to heal, though, he is actually fighting a lot in the back lines and dueling, like this one here. And actually, the kill to heal isn't that useful in these engagements. It lets you get back into the fight faster, but it means that you have less dueling potential that the life rip gives you. So the life rip's pretty good if you're going 1v1. But I mean, you have to actually hit the hits as well, which this guy, his aim is okay, but sometimes he is missing and getting too close to the enemies. Like there again, he got quite close, but then again, he was in the air in the right way fighting the Drogos. Here again with the Willow, he keeps going right into the Willow. I don't think he really needs to do that. Up here, he's going to use his ultimate just on the Grover. The Grover can probably out-heal that. I don't think that was the right thing to do. And also, the one thing, and I've talked about this a lot, because if you watch here, how easy it is for the Drogos to hit the Androxus in the air. If the Drogos is alive, and you can see that they're not on the spawn timer up here, that they're going to be coming out again, you don't really want to ulti. I think before he's ultied the Drogos, which is fine if you can burst down the Drogos quickly, but it's so easy for a Drogos to just come up, like here, Blood Lad in the left-hand corner here, get right next to him, and then just shoot you, because with Fuselard especially, the damage on the direct hits is pretty insane, and it was just so easy for this Drogos to pick off the Androxus in the air. Even firing from the ground, it's pretty easy to hit the Androxus in the air, or even from a distance because of how slowly you move whilst you're in this ultimate, and you can just see it was easy to pick off. So I would say just don't use your ultimate against the Drogos if they already know you're there, or they can see you and you're not going to ulti them quick enough to burst them down, or the Drogos might fly into the air. Just generally, a Drogos just being around and hitting you with Fusillade is kind of a counter to your ultimate, so just be very careful of that. Again, he's come into the fight and he's missing shots, and part of the reason for that is that he's getting too close up and just not being able to react quickly enough. I think just it's throwing off how quickly he normally moves around his mouse. There he was at a more reasonable distance and being able to bring it in. He was resetting his aim as well, basically pulling his aim away from the enemy and pulling it back in again, which is one tactic. Again here, he's just coming, I mean, it kind of worked going above them like that, but he was very lucky they didn't notice them. Part of this, again, I think is just picking the wrong target. Like, he doesn't necessarily need to go for the Grover straight away. He could have just gone for the Drogos. So the Grover wasn't near enough for the Drogos to probably heal it, or the Grover might have moved off anyway. And he's left dueling the Grover. I mean, if his aim was decent, he probably would have killed the Grover a lot earlier there, and he does kill him eventually, but not before everything's sort of gone badly for the rest of the team. And again, I don't know whether it's worth having your Androxus out on the Grover over the damage dealers and things that are on the enemy team that are on the point that have obviously won out this time. There he just got a bit lucky with the Defiance. I think that the idea is that he keeps getting close because I think he wants to use the Defiance. Maybe he's got very comfortable using Defiance. But the thing is, you do more damage per second if you hit all of your left clicks. And for a better player, it's better to be at a sort of the edge of your maximum damage range and to get your hits off. Okay, here again, he's gone right up to the very top of the skybox, but looking directly down, so he wasn't able to flick up and hit the Victor where he wanted to, and I think it threw him off actually a bit with his aim there. Just generally maybe panicking a bit with the target acquisition there, which target he wanted to go for. He sort of changed between the Drogos and the Victor. I think he was right to go for the Victor because they were on the ground, but he was also very lucky the Drogos didn't kill him in mid-air. Again here, I mean, he's doing the right thing going for the Drogos, but just missing with the left click. It's just, I guess, working on your aim and making sure that you get that next time and just practicing in the shooting range and things like that. But to be honest, with a moving Drogos in the air, it's hard to practice for that, but it's just part of the aim. Maybe tweaking with your sensitivity settings. Maybe the sensitivity for this chap is too high on the mouse and needs to be lowered a bit. I'm not entirely sure without seeing it all, but he is missing some shots that he should be hitting really. And also using, like, Defiance at that range, he's probably going to miss at least one of the shots, so it's not going to be that worthwhile. And especially without the extra damage, it's not really as worthwhile as just getting the normal left clicks off and your normal fire. But again, he's in the back line, he's harassing, he's not necessarily doing anything wrong, but here I think he picked up the wrong target. He should have seen the Victor on the right that was quite low when he was coming around, that wasn't focused on him. Wait a second, we'll come back in again. This part where he comes back round on the Victor, I think it's because he's low that he's a bit cautious. I do also think that he's using his nether step too frequently to just heal for no real reason apart from maneuver. Like, he should be saving some of them to keep moving around, and he doesn't. Again, they don't really go that much into the air to do fights. Like, he goes into the air but then comes back onto the ground and doesn't stay in the air or come above somebody to fight them or quickly burst them down. It's much easier to fire down on somebody on a target than it is to go right up close to them and try and hit them like this. It just, this time he was trying to hit both the targets. He didn't really decide which target he was going to shoot for, but also I don't think, let's have a look. He actually does have all three nether steps here. It's because he's been crippled by the Grover. Actually no, he jumps back and that's why his nether steps back up. Let's just count how many nether steps he has. He used one there. He's just using it to heal. That's part of the problem here. So now when the Victor and the Grover go for him, he's only got one nether step, but actually he's crippled, so he can't jump away from it anyway. So by the time the cripple's over, he does actually have a nether step. So, I mean, but even if that cripple hadn't have been there, he would have only had one nether step to try and get away with, which isn't exactly ideal. So, just one thing to bear in mind there. But, I mean, it had two people just facing off against him. It wasn't ideal. So, I think that's pretty much it. Unfortunately there, the Inara put the wall and was blocked off from blocking the point. And that's GG. So I don't think the Androxus did terribly there. I think that their aim probably needs a bit of work on just generally, but a lot of the things they did was go too close to the enemies. They relied too much on the Defiance, when the Defiance should only be really to finish somebody off, which they did do sometimes, and it did work sometimes. They were mainly in the back lines, but maybe going for the wrong targets, going for the Grover too often, not looking for that Drogos, not looking for that Victor, not looking for the Willows, who are the important ones to take down. Actually, I think in the first 2 rounds, he actually took down the Willow and the Drogos a lot, which was quite important, but then came to it in these last few rounds and was sort of preoccupied with the Grover, I guess. I mean, looking at his stats, he didn't do terribly. He did the most damage on his team and stuff, but still there were a lot of things to improve on there. His ultimates were also a bit shaky and sometimes panicking on which enemy to use it on, but all in all, it wasn't a terrible game, but a few things that I've talked about in this video to pick up on. I know it's going to be hard to grade other people on games, but I think because there's so much to improve upon, and there is promise there, because obviously he did reasonably well for their team, and I mean, they were doing most of the things right, being in the back lines, positioning and stuff like that, but often using the heals, the Nether Step as heals, and not having Nether Step up to get away again sometimes. So I would give this game probably a C+ to a B-. I mean, for the skill bracket as well, they'd probably grade it a little bit higher at the B-, but I mean, there's a lot to pick up on there and take into the next game. And I hope that they learn from this. And hey, what does everybody else think about this game? Do you have any tips yourself to give to this Androxus, or think I didn't pick on something in particular or at a certain time? Be sure to let me know in the comments section below. Again, if you have a game for me to go over, then put it in that link that's in the description, the drop box. And I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more of my content, and I'll see you all next time. Joshino.